All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending. Oh my gosh, what is the Pac-12 Conference going to do? They are in full-on scramble mode.
5-0 versus the Pac-12 in football and bragging rights for eternity. Hang the banner, and we did.
Oh, throwback.
Oh, yeah, that.
To the de facto Pac-12 South title.
At the time, we were proud of that. Now, I don't know if we would be.
What's Trending presented by Feastbox, donating 10% of every order to Full of Hope, a charitable organization that feeds hungry families. Yesterday, as we reported, Pac-12 President George Kliavkoff met with university presidents across the Pac-12 and athletic directors to present the conference's proposed media deal. What deal is it? We're still not really sure.
What's the deal?
ESPN's Pete Thamel reported that the primary deal presented to those Pac-12 executives and athletic directors was a primarily Apple streaming deal. Now, this contract would have incentivized tiers, which would give it strong upside if certain subscription numbers are met. Yikes. So now revenue is just based on getting people to sign up? Ooh, that's tough to operate a college department when that is the stipulation. Thamel continues, no decisions on the deal or any schools pondering other options are expected immediately. Why would they be? Why would they not just shove this further down the road, Jarom?
Yeah, keep it going.
Come on, this is so much fun.
Why not?
Campus leaders are digesting the possibilities of a stream-centric future and the variance in potential income. The money piece is tricky because of the variables of subscriptions, end quote. It gets better, my friend. CBS Sports' Ross Dellinger reporting that the Pac-12's presentation actually featured two different proposals, at least, maybe more. One less lucrative than the other, depending on the amount of subscription-based incentives met and the addition of outside linear partners. Oh, linear is still in the conversation?
As per, it sounds like secondary or tertiary holders.
Okay, such as... He continues, ESPN and Fox, who would have, or would share rather, in the broadcasting rights of marquee games. Yeah, to your point.
Well, marquee would be primary, right?
Yeah? I have no idea.
Marquee, third best game. No, that's the best game, right?
Yes. What do you make of all of the details that emerged yesterday around the Pac-12 and this supposed deal?
If I was George Kliavkoff and my best deal was based on subs for Apple TV Plus, I wouldn't have shared that yet either. Because ask MLS pre-Messi how that was going.
Oh, Messi has saved it.
It wasn't good. There's no Pac-12 Messi, Spence.
I know.
To save them. Not even Caleb Williams this year would save them.
1 year of USC?
Yeah, but obviously they're out of the league next year. This stinks. It's not good. Because you're not going to get enough subs. Like, it's hard enough for people to want to pay for platforms that they already want, but there's too many, right?
What I'm gathering from this is the Pac-12 network is now going to be absorbed by Apple Plus. So, like, instead the Pac-12 network will go away, and then it would just be streaming on Apple Plus to take up all of those Pac-12 network games.
Yeah, they'd get all the games that, say, ESPN and Fox don't do. It becomes the second biggest sports product outside of MLS. To me, that's bigger than the Pac-12 by itself.
Yeah.
On Apple TV Plus or whatever it's called. Frankly, I don't even know the name. Is that the name? Apple TV Plus?
Yes.
Or is it Apple Plus?
I believe you are correct. Apple. Okay, I think
I don't
either
even know.
is acceptable.
Okay, thank you, Alex Trebek. Rest in peace. But yeah, it's tough, man. I don't think this is good enough to hold everybody together. I would think that if you're Arizona, you're going, not good enough. Now, if you get enough subscribers, or heretofore known as subs, then yes, but that's not going to happen.
How do you base a budget on...
That's not going to happen.
Jarom, how do you base a budget on that type of variable? Like,
it can't fluctuate.
Even Washington State's chancellor and athletic director are on record saying, like, we cannot run our school and athletic budget on something that has a streaming variable.
I agree.
We need locked-in money from linear channels.
Yes. And year to year, you're hoping to sell a certain amount, outside of the TV deal. So, like, you work in that space where you don't know how much you're going to bring in exactly. But with TV deals, they really want, like, okay, we know this is the number. And you know the number is 31.7 with the Big 12. You don't know what it's going to be there. Plus, listen, it's one thing when you're on, I have YouTube TV. I love it. I can zip around and change the channel easy.
They've got a function that allows you to watch multiple games at the same time.
Yes, I signed up for Red Zone, for Sunday Ticket. I'm going to be able to watch 4 NFL games at a time. It'll be great. Blah, blah, blah. I can record unlimited DVR. I love it. This is not a paid promotion. I'm just saying I like that spot. Although if you want to pay me, that'd be great, YouTube TV. But with Apple, you have to exit the app to get to the other channels, or you've got to have multiple TVs. It's not a great setup. Like, that's the best you could do. That's not good enough, honestly, to keep this league together. I think if that's the best they can do, and that's what it sounds like, based on the reports, they're going to be done. If I'm the other 3 corners, I'm out of there. Which, by the way, to the point we were making yesterday about the report of Utah's not answering the phone, of course they're answering the phone. Utah's not that dumb. Like, yes, they have hubris and don't want to be perceived as following BYU.
It came out that
they've got to be talking to the Big 12.
That information was delivered a number of weeks ago. So maybe a number of weeks ago, they weren't really answering the phone.
Perhaps, but
things have changed dramatically in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, if I'm Utah, I don't leave unless I have to. But the remaining 3 corners, like, they could totally make the jump soon. Who knows? Arizona State could be like, yeah, we're doing this. That's not good enough. We're not going to make enough money. And that we can have stability there. Yeah. And basketball will fit in there just fine, Arizona and so on. It's not good enough, Spence. If I'm a Pac-12 fan, I'm very disappointed.
I know you love soccer, and I know you love Messi. I love Messi. He's incredible. And I
still don't have Apple
neither do
TV
I.
Plus,
that is my point.
I just watched the highlights.
It was almost strong enough for me the other night where I was like, maybe I just buy the rest of the season just so I can watch Messi, because it is so unbelievable what he's doing to Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
And then I got further down the road and I was like, nah, I'm not going to pull the trigger. And he is a super powerful entity, driver to push eyeballs and subscribers to that, right? So if Messi can't get me to order half a season of MLS, as much as I love college football and West Coast college football, I'm not paying extra to buy a Pac-12 specific package so that I can then exit my linear channels on YouTube TV or wherever and go and watch Oregon State play Cal. Like, that's not going to happen. I will watch the highlights later.
Yes, and if it's a big-time game, it should be on a big-time channel.
Yes.
Like, it should be on Fox or ESPN or CBS, whatever. Like, they need to get that deal. I'm almost a little frustrated for them.
Yes, this
even
sucks
though
for
we're
the Pac-12
centric. Yes, this stinks for them, and it's probably the demise of the league.
What I thought was going to happen was, okay, they'll probably have like a primary linear party, and then I thought they were going to take like the Amazon Prime model where maybe they have a Pac-12 game of the week on Thursday night and it streams on Apple. And then they have a Friday game that streams on Apple Plus. Maybe they do one each day. One game on Friday, one on Saturday, the rest are linear. I thought that's what was going to happen as far as the streaming options go. But to learn that it is primary streaming, this is not good. This is not good. Who's going to subscribe for this? Like, who is going to, like, and that variable, if I am Arizona and I'm looking at this going, we don't really know how many subscribers we're going to have? Can you just like guarantee us money and then you figure it out?
And then we make more on the top, like commission off the top. Like, I'm a waiter,
maybe
I make X plus tips.
Maybe it's like, okay, we're going to give you $20 million a year, and then if we hit these numbers, then you'll get $5 million more for each.
Yes.
I don't know, but even that makes me nervous if I am in one of these schools.
I wouldn't even recommend that for the SEC or Big Ten. Like, I would be like, I don't know. As popular as you are, I don't know. Like, if it was the NFL, that's the only league where I would go. That would work. That would crush it.
Amazon Prime's Thursday night game of the week works because it's the NFL.
And that's the NFL. It's so powerful.
It's the NFL.
Okay, topic 2. Oh, by the way, BYU held fall camp practice number 1 yesterday. Head coach Kalani Sitake and new defensive coordinator Jay Hill both spoke to the media after. We'll play some of the best sound bites and our takeaways from practice, beginning with Kalani Sitake saying there's a lot of unknowns headed into camp.
Yeah, probably, but the unknowns can run and they're very athletic, so that's a good sign. And you know, the players that are veterans that are here, returning players, done a great job in the PRPs teaching. And you can see it from the offseason that they had. The guys not only look good, but they're understanding the scheme and the technique, and that's a huge credit to what the players have done in leadership on our team currently.
I counted 59 new guys. There's massive turnover for this team.
That was the #1 takeaway for me. Oh my gosh, there are so many new faces. Who's that? Who's that? Like, we've talked to a lot of them, but still, like when they're all collectively gathered, I was like, oh my gosh, there is so much turnover. There are so many new faces.
We talked to the main guys, like the G5, P5, some of the FCS transfers. We haven't talked to every single one of them, though. I went through the entire roster Monday and kind of categorized them for my own just knowledge, and it was like, oh my gosh, there are so many new guys.
Yes.
Which can be exciting. BYU lost some massive pieces. They've tried to replace them with guys who are going to be playmakers, but they've got to figure out who those playmakers are.
Yeah. Now, because there are so many new faces, it is the challenge of this staff, and maybe the biggest challenge in this fall camp, to figure out what they actually have and how to get the cliched best 22 on the field, and then the reserves.
Hopefully
right
they do their
after that.
111, Spence.
Everyone's got to do their 111th. But yes, understandably, because there are so many new faces, the urgency has also been increased to hurry this along. Like, okay, we got to go. We figure this thing out. Kalani spoke to that yesterday.
In order for us to get the competition, you have to give everyone reps, and if you just do it like a, if we had a bunch of returning starters, then you could probably give younger guys reps, but now we got to compete. So the depth chart's not solidified, and we got to form that. In order to do that, you have to get a lot of reps and give everyone enough reps to be able to evaluate them completely.
Now, just based on how many new guys are coming in and hoping to make an immediate impact, when that final depth chart is released, there will be a number of surprises. Like, just prepare yourself for that.
Yes.
Like, whoa, I didn't think that guy was going to start.
Like, even the offensive line, just we could observe the last 15 minutes there. I was like, oh, Tyler Little at
He looks
guard.
great.
Like,
He looks great.
Like, I'm looking at that and going, oh, that's interesting, or whatever. There's a lot of guys in this group, but yes, we have a good sense of. We know Keaton Slovis is starting quarterback. We know Aiden Robbins is RB1. We don't know exactly where AJ Vongpacha is going to fit in among the linebackers.
Where is?
And so on
Yeah,
and so forth.
yeah. It makes it fun though. This adds a level of intrigue to training camp for BYU, and the always entertaining depth chart when it finally is released during game week.
Speaking of, here's Kalani on depth.
There's all the things like the alignment and the technique, but understanding the scheme, seeing how comfortable they are within the scheme, and a lot of that takes place when you get the pads on. Right now, we're just kind of going through the motions, but once the pads come on, we can kind of separate some people and see who's the, who's probably the ones that are going to compete for starting spots. But right now, it's important for us to give them all an honest look.
I think BYU is a deeper team than last year, meaning not familiarity. Depth is not familiarity with the player. It is quality backup. That's what depth is. I think BYU is better across the board in a lot of places.
And that's a good thing because, frankly, BYU is going to need that when they are playing 10 Power 5 opponents in a row. Like, we have seen BYU be absolutely just hammered by this in recent seasons. You get certain key positions, you're like, oh, we're good. And then you're playing your third and fourth string linebackers or running backs or whatever, defensive backs at some points, and it's like, yikes, this is where the deficiency is. They've worked really hard to try and shore that up a little bit. We'll see. One of my bigger question marks going into camp was, what the heck is the defense going to look like? How much are they actually going to show to us in these viewing periods? New defensive coordinator Jay Hill spoke on the difficulty scheming to stop high-powered offenses in the Big 12 with his new look.
Well, just that. We're going to be facing a lot of great talent. We're going to be facing a lot of teams that put up points and yards. But, it's no different than college football anywhere else. I mean, you're going to have to every day line up and stop the run. You're going to have to line up and tackle well. You're going to have to line up and, defend passes on third downs. So I think we focus more on just the task at hand. How do we get better each day right now? And obviously we'll take one opponent at a time as we get to the season.
Okay, a lot of cliches in there, but
Ding, ding, ding.
But what I am hearing from Jay Hill, not just yesterday, but in interviews in the past and when he first got hired, is physicality, aggression, and detail. Those are the three words, okay? Physicality, aggression, and detail. How will that manifest itself when the games begin?
Hopefully more havoc.
Right? Hopefully more sacks.
Yes.
More
forced
disruption.
Fumbles, tackles for loss.
But
interceptions.
on the backside, there are going to be bigger plays given up, and like BYU's going to take more risks on defense, which will open them up on the backside more if they don't get home, they don't get to the quarterback.
Yes.
Just, yeah, prepare yourself for this.
BYU is going after the quarterback as opposed to holding a block. They're not relying on the linebackers to make every play. The D-line can actually go and make a play now.
Yeah.
They're going to blitz off the corner. They're going to safety blitz. They're going to bring the house. They're going to take risks they haven't before. That's not a risk taking place, generally speaking, Spence. You build a building, you got the money beforehand.
And then
you have all the utilities in perpetuity
for 10 years.
Forever. like in an account. You know what I mean? This is not a risk taking place. The riskiest place at BYU is going to be the BYU defense now. They're going to get after it, which we all like. No one rarely does a DC come in and say, you know what? We're dropping 8. We got to play way more passive. We hope they give us the ball back or have a penalty. No one really says that. This is the opposite.
And frankly, it worked in certain situations beautifully. Like that drop 8, we're going to make the quarterback really take some chances.
Yes, it was too much. And frankly, we've talked to a couple of players who are like, okay, I can play the way that I have been hoping to play at BYU now under this scheme. So the players are happy with this newness. Last but not least, Jay Hill on what key objectives he's looking for as they prepare for week 1.
Establishing depth is critical right now. We got to figure out who our playmakers are, who we can most rely on when we need a play that's got to be made. Who are those guys that are going to step up and make it? We have a lot of new faces. We've taken some transfers out of the portal. We've taken a bunch of young freshmen that have just joined us that we expect to be really good players. So I would say depth, getting better with assignments and scheme is going to be critical, and then just finding out exactly who we are and our identity and personality.
Kalani Sitake said there is a different feel about this camp compared to all the others he's been in.
Probably because of the name tags. Who are you?
Yes.
They have names.
That
they have
exactly
nameplates, by the way, on the back of the practice jerseys. They've not had that before.
Interesting.
If I recall correctly.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot.
It helps,
yeah,
for sure, from observation.
Oh, yeah, that's Cole Eldridge, number 80.
Especially when, there are so many guys that wear the same number on offense and defense.
Sometimes the same number on the same side of the ball.
Yes.
They've got to figure that out.
Get a little confusing.
You can't do that.
But, yeah, it's a different feel, for sure, because he's never had this much turnover. I mean, they really stirred the pot.
Yes. And not to mention the Big 12, not to mention a new defensive staff.
Yeah,
and so on.
There's not just new players, a bunch of new players,
a
ton of new staff. So it makes sense that it feels entirely different.
Yeah, he's staring at different coaches. He's staring at different players. Like every other player is new, by the way.
Yeah, his defensive coordinator was his close friend, Elisa Tuiaki, for 7 years. He hasn't had a new defensive coordinator in his entire tenure at BYU until this year. So, yeah, you want new feel? There you go, right there.
Yeah, it feels very new.